What if I told you the way you think, the habits you hide, even the little things that make you feel different, might actually be signs of high intelligence? Not test scores, not degrees, but invisible psychological patterns that science links directly to smarter thinking. So let's explore them. And as you listen, ask yourself, how many of these sound like you? Let's start with overthinking. We usually see it as a curse spiral of endless what-ifs, but for many intelligent minds, it's not anxiety, it's analysis. Psychologists call this cognitive reflection, the ability to question your first instinct and think deeper before acting. A Harvard study found that people who pause to reflect instead of reacting immediately make significantly better long-term decisions. It's the difference between being impulsive and being insightful. You don't just think, rethink. You're not trapped in thought, you're mining it for truth. Do you ever notice how your brain just won't stop until it finds an answer? Next up, curiosity. It's the heartbeat of every intelligent mind. A 2016 University of London study found that people with high IQs consistently score higher in openness to express, a personality trait linked to curiosity, imagination, and creativity. You're the kind of person who asks why, not because you're nosy, but because you need to understand. You read random facts, watch deep documentaries, or fall into rabbit holes at 2 a.m., not to waste time, but to feed your brain. Curiosity fuels intelligence, the way oxygen fuels fire. Einstein once said, "I have no special talent. I am only passionately curious." And that's the secret. Most people miss curiosity isn't a distraction, it's evidence of growth. What's something strange you've learned recently that no one else around you cares about but you can stop thinking about it? Smart people often seem quiet, even reserved, not because they're shy, but because they're watching. They notice tone, body language, hesitation, details others miss. Psychologists call this active observation, a skill tied to both intelligence and emotional awareness. You don't just hear people, you read them. You sense the gap between what someone says and what they actually mean. It's why conversations exhaust you sometimes. Your brain doesn't just listen, it processes everything. So while others fill silence with noise, you fill silence with understanding. Have you ever walked away from a room and known exactly what everyone felt without anyone saying a word? Here's the irony. Truly intelligent people often doubt themselves more than others. It's not insecurity, it's intellectual humility. The awareness that knowledge is infinite and certainty is fragile. Research from Cornell University calls this the Dunning-Kruger effect. The less people know, the more confident they feel, and the more people truly understand, the more they realize how much they don't. So if you sometimes question your ability, your knowledge, or your worth, it may not mean you're weak. It might mean you're wise enough to see reality clearly. Do you ever hide your intelligence just to fit in? Intelligent people often crave solitude, not because they dislike others, but because silence is their sanctuary. A study in the British Journal of Psychology found that highly intelligent individuals actually feel less satisfied by constant social interaction. Why? Because their brains crave depth, not noise. They don't avoid people, they avoid distraction. Solitude gives them the space to think, to create, to breathe. Where others feel bored, they feel alive. Maybe you've felt misunderstood for needing quiet, but that quiet might just be where your brilliance hides. Intelligence isn't about knowing everything, it's about seeing connections others overlook. You might notice coincidences that feel meaningful, predict outcomes, or sense subtle shifts in people's behavior. This ability to recognize patterns is a form of divergent thinking, the creative side of intelligence. It's why you can solve problems others find impossible, or make connections that feel almost intuitive. It's not luck, it's mental pattern recognition, sharpened by observation and curiosity. Have you ever explained something that seemed obvious to you, but everyone else looked confused? Smart people don't just think deeply, they feel deeply. Neuroscientists at Yale found that high cognitive intelligence often pairs with high emotional sensitivity, the ability to feel the emotions of others almost as your own. This empathy can make life heavier, but also more meaningful. You notice suffering, beauty, and truth in the smallest things. Sometimes, that sensitivity feels like pain, but it's also the reason you create, care, and connect at a level most people can't understand. So if you feel too much, that's not weakness. That's wisdom in its purest emotional form. Here's what most people get wrong. Intelligence isn't about being fast, confident, or perfect. It's about being aware of yourself, of others, of how the world really works. It's the ability to ask better questions, not just give quicker answers. So if you overthink, stay curious, love solitude, feel deeply, and sometimes doubt yourself, you're not broken. You're just built for depth, in a world that worships the surface. And the deeper you go, the fewer people will understand you. But that's okay, because your path isn't meant to be crowded, it's meant to be meaningful. So, maybe the real measure of intelligence isn't how much you know, it's how deeply you see. And maybe the smartest people are the ones still learning who they are. Thanks for watching. If this resonated with you, consider subscribing for more journeys into the mind. We'd love to have you with us.